Good morning. Thanks for being here with us. It's an absolute pleasure to be here at Startup Iceland on the 10th year. Bala has built something special for us, and I'm grateful to have the opportunity to spend a few minutes with you here in the morning. So let's see how it goes. So first, let's start. It's kind of tricky not to have the stuff that can allow you to walk around. So if you don't hear me, it's going to be a bit of a challenge. So I have to stay a bit here. But my old business school professor always said, I don't really have any answers. I have a lot of opinions. And that's kind of the theme of my few minutes here. We don't really know how this AI thing is going to go. And I don't really know more than any of you. But I will tell you what I think, and I'll tell you a few stories. But hopefully it's going to be enlightening, and hopefully, I know I'm a bit preaching to the choir, so maybe you can use the things that you already know than I say in this forum to educate some other people that need some more education about all of this. But I'm first going to tell you a bit of a story. So in the mid-90s, I was in high school. It was a gloomy, December day, and I was supposed to be studying for my midterms. But I got this feeling I should figure out this internet thing, this web thing that was kind of popping up everywhere. So instead of studying for my midterm, I got completely obsessed with web programming in HTML and spent the next years completely, head over heels of what this could mean. And I was doing all kinds of stupid websites when I figured out the Netscape browser and everything that was there. And I was looking on the archive.org website if I could find any of this. And I found this. This is when I listed all the CD stores I could find. And I thought I would make a lot of money by affiliate links to this. So if you would click the CD world up there, that was my biggest hope. I could get a few dollars. And I actually got some checks from the US, but it didn't really change my life. But doing those experiments actually did change my life, because after high school, I met these guys. I worked for one of the first web agencies in Iceland, and Stefan, sitting there, he hired me. I was 19, and we did a lot of fun stuff together. And this completely showed me that we were in the middle of a revolution, something really, really special. And one of my favorite moments when I worked for this company, which is still around in one form. This is proud to say that the guy here on the right, he's still working for Hugsmiðjan, which is the fourth generation of this company. But Stefan called me and got me really excited because this guy was coming to Iceland. And it's kind of funny that my superhero when I was 20 was this middle-aged Danish American looking like this, called Jacob Nielsen, because I was so obsessed with usability and user interface, and this was the go-to hero. And we actually were able to invite him to Iceland and host him at Hotel Borg for a conference, and one of my proudest moments. But long story short, this was my first seismic shift, because I realized I was in a time that has never been before, because the past didn't really have relevance in the stuff that we were doing. We were showing people stuff they had never seen before. And it was amazing. It was a lot of fun. We knew there was something new happening, and we needed to do it the new way. The new way was the only way. And then, we were not only just progressing, we could transform. So we were not trying to move something by 10%. We were doing it, 500 times better. And being at this age, at this time, it was so amazing to see that everything that used to be great, we could do it completely different, because the good way that took a lot of time and was supposed to be the right way wasn't anymore. So, the thing is that you saw things in a completely new light. But then this progressed, and we saw this develop, the linearity of the online world became greater by the year. The risk became less every year. And all this competitive advantage that you had by understanding digital became less and less, because digital business just became business, and the digital knowledge just became table stakes. You just needed to have all this to be relevant. So it kind of became everyday news and nothing really interesting. And we saw this go the coming years. We saw 5G, we saw constant connectivity, we saw social media, but this was all built on the foundations of the World Wide Web and the online revolution until the late 90s. But then something happened. We got AI, we got the large language models and the generative AI. But the thing is that, we saw this happening, but nobody really cared. There was talk of this, but we saw there was something in the future, that something's going to happen, but nobody was really thinking about this would change how we would do business today. But I was a bit lucky. I got involved with the government-backed effort of language technology in Iceland, and nobody did care. I took my teenage son to this event, and he's like, "Why are you meeting these nerds?" But this got me thinking. This got me, very deep into looking at these opportunities. And the government was pretty smart. So they invested $20 million into building the technological foundations of Icelandic language to be able to keep the relevance of this minuscule language in the digital world. The government saw that, to be able to sustain as a language in the coming years, there needed to be built language technology foundations. And that is what we did over the last 3 to 4 years. We built like an open source depository of solutions that could be used for applications in the future. And part of this was trying to convince America that they should include us in their solution scope. So we went on a trip to the US last spring to spread the message and tell everybody we have the foundations, the infrastructure for you to use what we have built. And we met all the tech giants in the US and told them, we have this. Do you want to use what we have? Pretty good meetings, some success, but they were interested, but nothing really moved fast. Then the remarkable thing happened. We visited this kind of yoga retreat-like office in the Mission District, San Francisco, of this small startup that not that many of us had heard about. And, of course, this is OpenAI. And we met Sam Altman and the team, and they showed us, a bit into their world. It's 6 months, actually today, since ChatGPT was out. And so we saw a glimpse of ChatGPT, Dolly, the image generator, and all this stuff. And it was kind of interesting to think about why was a trip to a small startup in San Francisco more inspiring, more revolutionary, and more interesting than all the other tech giants. So we kind of left flabbergasted and completely realized when we left the office that we were in the middle of something truly special. And we asked them, what do we need to do to make Icelandic language relevant in your solution set? And they just said, give us your data. And long story short, Iceland is included in the ChatGPT solution. And of course, we tend, many of us, to believe that those kind of solution is what AI is all about. But Helga is going to come up next and tell us more about that. But it was amazing, and it was amazing to see how things move fast. And we saw that these characteristics of the late 90s, they were appearing again. A lot of the stuff that we saw happening on the online revolution at the turn of the century was happening again at another dimension. And then I would kind of say that, there were more to it. It was not only this stuff, but there were some more elements that were able to tell me that this was a revolutionary time. So if utilized right, execution in the world of AI is going to be drastically simpler. Things that took time don't need to take time. But we are in a bit of a risk because things move so fast. So we need to be sure that the model is sounding right. It's not only just sounding right, but has the true superpower it appears to have. So that relies on that we can have greater fundamental knowledge of what we are doing, because we move faster and we need to be able to use the AI as an assistant, but not as the expert. And the more elusive your critical thinking is, the more powerful your artificial intelligence becomes. Because artificial intelligence amplifies human intelligence. So the stronger your foundations, the powerful the model is. So I tend to believe that we need to focus more now on domain knowledge and fundamental knowledge. And you need to be really good about the stuff that you want to be good about, because you can move faster. So it's easier to go faster in the wrong direction, because execution is going to be simpler. And the same sense, and we're going to hear about the creativity of the bubbly people here out in the hallway, but because the model is based on past experiences and past knowledge, true creativity is going to be of greater value. True creativity in the sense of critical thinking and new ideas is going to be the stuff that will guide us in our human activities beyond the models. So the value of the right question is kind of getting more than the value of the answer. And then it's about the data. The data, both structured and unstructured data, has extreme value in the AI world, because even companies that don't have a viable business model but have some important data collection can have greater value or great value in the AI world, because it can be used to train data for some other companies and business models. So we see a lot of activity in the VC world now when companies are looking for these type of companies. So if you have something in the data room, you may have greater value in your structure than the current business model entails. So I'm really curious to see how this is going to develop, because the data to train the model is going to be of extreme importance. So a bit of a sales pitch about generative AI. I mean, you have seen this kind of information a lot the last, especially half year or year or so. But we have the opportunity to reduce the marginal cost of generating knowledge significantly. And you can do this across industries, because there are also specific use cases that I think every industry needs to be, extremely focused on figuring out, because across industries or function, generative AI or large language model have the ability to change your business and your structure. And at the same time, you need to think about who you're hiring and for what kind of role and why and what they need to have. And I mean, this is a structure that you have probably seen 100 times before, but the impact of generative AI on the future of companies is going to be great. But we need to kind of avoid the mistakes of the past. So if I would be speaking to kind of a CEO group only, I would say we can't do the mistakes that we have seen in the last 20 years on digital, where companies build digital islands within the organization. When somebody was responsible for online business and the other person was responsible for business. Or one person was responsible for digital marketing and another person was responsible for marketing. Digital and the online revolution and all that stuff, that needed to be the responsibility of the CEO. And that the same thing applies with AI. If you're going to build the AI DNA in your company, it can't be a business line responsibility. And same it can't be a technological responsibility. It needs to be the CEO responsibility, because if it's not there, it's not going to change the company. And if you need more proof points or selling points to convince somebody that you need to build the AI DNA within your organization, you can start here. We can make decisions much faster. We can have stronger workforce. We can make more profit. You can have happier customers, and you can move faster in new directions. So this was my selling point. You know, they're simple and easy and something you can use. To conclude this, you know, of course, the moment to think about this is now, because it has the ability to really, really change how we do business. And I feel like I'm extremely grateful to have been witnessing this for the second time in my life, because this is really exciting, and we're going to see companies move with the world and move business much faster and much more interesting in the next 10 years than in the last 5 or 10. So if I would end this by encouraging to answer a couple of questions in your world, or ask these questions to other leaders, is that, you know, can this kill us? And the phrase is, you know, AI will probably not kill your company, but a company that understands the AI opportunity better than you may do that. And the same with your job. AI may probably not take your job, but somebody that understands AI better than you may take your job. And then, you know, what kind of strategy changes are needed? How do we need to change that to address all of this? You know, you need to put it at the top of the agenda. You need to be at the core strategy level of the company to actually have the impact. And then finally, what kind of org changes or skill changes or workforce changes do you need to make? How can that opportunity be reflected in the organizational structure and how you do things? Like this. So preaching to the choir on a Thursday morning. Looking forward to the rest of the day. Hopefully you can take a point or two into your day and help you move the world in this direction. The opportunity is extreme. It's a goosebump type of opportunity. So thanks so much, and it's a pleasure to be with you. Thank you.